Hello, in this video I'm going to show you how to install WordPress directly from the cPanel of your website, of your web hosting company. A lot of people get a little anxious when it comes to installing software, and their first thought might be to look for something like this, like Fantastico or Softaculous, that install the software for you without you really having to do anything. But it's not that complicated, and doing it following the steps that I'm going to show you in this video will help to make your site a little bit more secure and a little bit less vulnerable to hackers. So I highly recommend it. Just take a deep breath, follow my instructions, and it's pretty easy. So the first thing you need to do is log into cPanel area of your website. This is information that you should have gotten from your web host, and it's usually, it will say something like log into the back end or the admin area or even just cPanel. Once you log into cPanel, the first thing we need to do is make a database. So we're going to go down to wherever it says databases, and your tools might not be in the same order, so just make sure you look for the section that says databases, and we're going to go to the MySQL database wizard. And this is going to walk us through the steps that we need to create both a database and a username and apply the appropriate privileges. So one of the reasons that I suggest you do it this way is if you use something like Fantastico or Softaculous, they will automatically make the database name WP1. This is not the most secure because, again, this is a default setting and hackers have learned this. So you can name it just about everything, anything else, but it has to be alphanumeric. And so you might say CMS or site or really anything. I mean, it doesn't have to be a super secret name or hard to figure out. It just has to be something that the hackers don't already know. And then the next, you're going to click Next Step and give it a username. It can be the same thing as a database. It can be different. It can, again, whatever you want to be. And then we're going to create a password, and I always like to use this password generator here because it gives you random passwords that are pretty secure. Now, when I make a password, I like to make sure that I can remember it. So I always copy and paste it into Notepad because this is a complicated password, and sometimes even writing it down can give you, your writing becomes gibberish later or it's hard to read. So we're going to copy it into Notepad, and then we're going to go ahead and use it, and we're going to create the user. Now, some people might say that just go ahead and click all privileges, but that gives options, it gives the ability to do things with the database that you don't necessarily need. So I'm going to go with alter, drop, select, update, insert, delete, and create. Those 7 should give you all the privileges that you need for your WordPress site. And then next, the database has been completed. So we're going to click up here to go back to the home page of the cPanel area. And the next thing we need to do is go into the File Manager, which I already have over here. And then we're going to go to Upload. And you need to go to wordpress.org/download and download the latest version of the WordPress software. So you're going to go ahead and download this somewhere onto your computer. And then you're going to come back to your File Manager and then the Upload page. Use the file browser to select the appropriate file and go ahead and upload it. I've already done this step just for simplicity, so we're not waiting for the upload to happen while we're on the video. So now I'm going to come back to my main folder here, and you'll see that this is in here, but it's a zip file. We can't use it as a zip file, so we're going to select it and go up here to Extract, and we want them all to go in this public HTML folder. Okay, so there's one more step. It put them all into this WordPress folder in here. We don't want them in WordPress, so we're going to double click to go into that WordPress folder. Go to Select All, and up here we're going to go to Move File, and I'm just going to get rid of the WordPress part, so it's just the public_HTML, and that will move everything basically up to this main directory. So then we can get rid of our zip file and this WordPress folder because there's no reason to hang on to those. Okay, great. So the next thing we're going to do is actually go to our website and finish the installation process. So up here, go ahead and go to your new domain that you've set up. And it's going to tell you that we need to set up some stuff. Here's where we're going to put in all of the database information. And now, as I'm sure you can imagine, I'm sharing a database name and password with you guys for the course of this video. This is not actually the database and password and everything that I'm going to use for the site. It's just for purposes of demonstration in the video. So if anybody out there decides that, so I don't recommend that you share any of this information because this will allow hackers to actually get to your site. So let's go back here. And if I look at my databases, okay, so my database name is this WP hello, and then the same thing I know I used. I'm going to go back to my notepad, copy and paste my password in here. In most cases, your database host is going to be localhost if you're using a cPanel setup. If it's not, your host should tell you what the database server information is in your welcome email that you have from them. So if you want to double check that, if localhost doesn't work for you, then double check in the information from your hosting provider. The other thing that the Fantastico and Softaculous one-click install things do is they make the table prefix this WP underscore. This is another one of those things that's a default thing, and the hackers know that. So we're going to change it to, again, something else. It can have numbers in it as long as it starts with a letter. And we're going to go ahead and submit. All right, we've set up the configuration file. We're going to go ahead and run the installation. Okay, and the last thing that the one-click installs tend to do is have admin as the default username when you set this up. This is a terrible username. Don't use admin as your username. Pick anything else, your first name, your dog's name, whatever you want it to be. The username can sometimes be visible on your site, so don't make it, random letters, because then it could be confusing to your visitors. Make it a name if you want, and then enter a password again. And this is going to be your administrator user access, so make sure it's a password that you're going to remember, or make sure you write it down. I'm going to go ahead and put in my email address, and then while I'm building a site, I always turn this off. I don't necessarily want search engines to index my site while it's still in development, because then it could come up in search results, and if the pages aren't ready and aren't exactly the impression that I want it to give, I like to hold off on that, and it's simple to change that later. So we're going to go ahead and click Install WordPress. And it's that simple. Our WordPress site is done. So if we wanted to log in with that username and password that we just created, we could do that now, and it would take us to our dashboard. All right, so that wasn't so scary. You can install WordPress very easily on your own. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to share them on the Facebook group, and I will help you out. Thanks.